Mr. Clark, members of the board, I have several items for your consideration this evening under personnel support. Number 1, reduction in force, letters A through R. Number 2, resignations, letters A through H. Number 3, unpaid leaves of absence, letters A and B. Number 4, employment, letter A. And number 5, correction, letter A. And that concludes all the items I have for your consideration this evening under personnel support.
Motion to accept recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Napier and Ms. Gundrum. Nancy, would you call roll, Ms. Lane?
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Clark and members of the board, we do have 2 items for board discussion this evening. Our first item, special education staffing needs. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Clark and members of the board, I just wanted to make you aware that in preparation for the 24-25 school year, we have done an extensive audit on our student numbers and needs in regards to special education to ensure that we're compliant with state mandates. The number of students entering our schools with special education needs who require specially designed instruction for functional academic skills has increased greatly. And due to this increase, we will be creating 3 new multiple disabilities/social communication classrooms for the 24-25 school year. 2 of these units will be housed at North Elementary, and 1 will be at Compass Elementary. Each unit requires us to hire an intervention specialist and 2 educational assistants to meet the intensive needs of the students that we are serving. These new units, these hires, they are mandated requirement by the state, and they must happen so that we're in compliance. The good news is that we've worked closely with Nancy, and the cost of these additions are included in the 5-year forecast that she'll be presenting to you this evening. Unless you have any questions, there's no action that is needed from you in regards to this. This is more just an FYI, and make sure you're aware of the additions that we're going to be making going into next school year.
Okay. Any questions or discussions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Howard.
Thank you.
All right, our next item for board discussion is the 5-year forecast. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Good evening. So tonight we have an update regarding the 5-year forecast. And as you may recall, the 5-year forecast gets shared with our public in November and May of each year. This presentation serves as just a small piece of information that's included in this 22-page document that will be available on our website tonight. So I encourage our community to review that document for more detailed information than what I'm able to share here tonight. So during the presentation, we're just going to talk quickly about the forecast purpose and objectives, our revenue and expenditure updates. Also going to review our financial summary and talk about maybe some next steps and allow for questions at the end. So you may have seen this before. Just to share with our community, this forecast is to engage the board in long-range planning and discuss potential financial issues facing the district. It also serves as a basis for determining if the district can certify what they call the 412 certificate. And lastly, it provides information to the Department of Education and Auditor's Office of any potential financial problems. So just to give you an overall picture, the majority of our district's revenue comes from our local taxes, about 47%. The second largest portion of our revenue is coming from state funding at about 41%. Some updates to the forecast from November. As we had projected, our property taxes collections did increase by about 4.5%, which amounted to about $2 million. That was due to the reappraisal that the county went through. Under restricted grants and aid, which is part of our state funding, we received a one-time stipend for what they call high-quality instructional materials, almost $500,000. And Mrs. Ogg and her team are determining what materials would be approved by the state for her to purchase, and that is included in next year's expenditure line item of supplies and materials. So we'll see that a little later on. It's actually in the forecast, sorry. A big change for us has been in the all other operating revenues category. We have increased those projections due to our interest income coming in higher than what was projected, which is a great thing. Secondly, we had some, what they call tax increment financing districts become active during the first half of 2023, and so we collected some additional revenue from those, and also from the reappraisal, the amounts of those tax incentive payments were increased. So good news there. One thing I just wanted to share with the board for next year, we will receive a bit of a loss in our unrestricted grants, which is our state money, from reducing our transportation services. So there's revenue that the state gives us for transportation. We are anticipating a loss in that revenue of about $1.2 million. And also, just as a reminder, from the reappraisal, state funding drops as property values increase because the state feels that our district has become wealthier. So they shift the funding back on our local people instead of the state giving us that money. So just want to make sure I brought that up. Here are our projections. So for this year, we're projecting about revenue of about $114.4 million, fairly steady throughout the life of the forecast, except you see that one dip later in 2027. That's due to all of the reappraisal values being implemented with the state funding that we receive. So that may change because we'll have a new state budget by then. So again, projections are only as good as on the day you do them. So tomorrow they'll change, and the next day and the next day. So that's what our projections are for revenue at the moment. Moving on to expenditures, the majority, or 77%, goes to personnel, so that's salary and benefits. And then 14% of our district's budget is used for purchase services for such things as contracting with agencies to provide services for our special education population, and utilities is another big one in that group. So some expenditure updates. Salaries are coming in lower than projections this year, and that's due to some of the cost-saving measures we put in place at the beginning of this year. We are seeing some lower overtime and substitute cost, which is a great thing. We also are projecting lower severance payouts this year than what we had projected. The employee benefits piece ties directly in with those salaries. We are estimating those to come in lower also. So one thing I wanted to mention is we added an option for our health plan this year in January of 2024. And that is an option with a lower costing health insurance premium for both the employees and for the district. So I think as more employees hear from their peers about how well that may be working out, that's one area that maybe will help try to reduce some of that increase for future years. So we'll see how that goes. Purchase services is one category, again, that's going to come in probably a little higher than our projections. And that's because we've had to contract out more services for our special needs population. Projecting our expenditures this year to be almost $112 million. So I wanted to give you just a brief update on next year's items. So due to that March levy failure, the reductions listed in that statement of facts passed by the board have been implemented for fiscal year 25. We've also had to include some additional positions, as Mrs. Howard mentioned, with our special ed population growing. And that, in fact, the transportation chauffeurs is tied to that special ed population also. So we've had to add some staff as well as along with those reductions. Looking at our expenditure projections for the next several years, again, this year we're looking at approximately $112 million to be spent, and then steadily increasing over the life of the forecast. So this is our financial summary. With that additional revenue that we're receiving and the lower than expected expenditures for the year, we are actually having revenue surplus this year, which is great. We haven't had that for a while. So we are projecting that, with future reductions that we put into place, that we'll have a cash balance through June 30th of 2027. Again, there'll be another state budget coming into play in 26 and 27, so this, of course, will change. But we are still facing a deficit in fiscal year 28 as projected right now. So some of the next steps that the board may have to take is On June 27th, we'd like to review how our end-of-the-year results have come in, and then also begin that discussion regarding how to address that future deficit. And that concludes my update for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lane. Any questions from the board?
I'll make a comment. Nancy does a great job. This is
Thank
a
you.
lot of numbers to go through.
Did you read all this?
Yeah, twice. Front and back.
Yeah, I'm sure. But again, there's a lot more detail in these pages than what I just presented tonight. So I do encourage everybody to take a look at that when you have time. Thank you.
Yep, and then in June, we'll have a better idea as well, because like you said, it changes somewhat day to day until it's
Right.
finalized, so.
Right. And one thing I'll just mention, just to throw that out, like the expenditure piece. So we have 4 buses that we've ordered the past 2 years that have not come in yet. So that payment is going to hit probably along with the 2 buses that we're going to order next year. So we have 6 buses that we have to pay for next year. So somebody asked me, like, why is there such a jump in expenditures? And it's like, well, we may be paying for 6 buses in one fiscal year. So it's a timing issue on some of that, so.
And Mr. Perry, I'm going to ask, is that kind of like because the parts, the production was kind of pushed back and held off because of the COVID
Yes.
era, if you will?
Yes, part of it is still recovering from the COVID, whatever you want to call that. But in addition to that, we ordered some special ed buses, and those just naturally take a little bit longer. So it's kind of like the perfect storm, as Nancy's highlighting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lane.
Thank you.
As always, you do a great job. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Clark and members of the board, I do have several items for your consideration under letter D. Other items for board action. Number 1, recommend approval of student fees for the 24-25 school year. 2, recommend approval of the following board policies, letters A through D. Number 3, recommend approval of the following resolution agreement to provide services by the Butler County Educational Service Center to the Fairfield City School District. And if it's okay with the board, I'd like to waive the reading of the rest of that resolution. Thank you. Number 4, recommend approval of the agreement between the Butler County Educational Service Center and Fairfield City School District for collaborative preschool services effective July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. This agreement was previously provided to the board. Number 5, recommend approval of the agreement between the Butler County Educational Service Center and the Fairfield City School District for audiology program services effective for the 2024-25 school year. This agreement was also previously provided to the board. This concludes the items that I have for your consideration this evening under letter D, other items for board action.
Okay. Motion to accept recommendations.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Napier, Ms. Gundrum, Ms. Lane, would you call roll?
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes. Treasurer's report, Ms. Lane?
Mr. Clark, members of the board, I have for your consideration tonight the following items. Letter A, recommend approval of the minutes from April 11th, 2024 regular session meeting and the May 2nd, 2024 regular work session meeting. Letter B, recommend approval of the financial reports for the month of April 2024. Letter C, recommend approval of the 2023-24 amended appropriations resolution. Letter D, recommend approval of the following donations. Our first donation is $41.56 from Vanny, I'm going to hurt this. Anybody want to try it with me? Subarau? Subarau?
Yes, that's correct.
That's what I was.
Okay. To Fairfield Central Elementary School to be used for facility dog expenses. Second donation tonight is $808 from Grateful Bikers to Fairfield Creekside Middle School to be used for lunch balances. Our third donation is $50 from Debbie Sellers to Fairfield Compass Elementary School to be used for lunch balances. Our fourth donation is $200 from Terry Allen to Fairfield East Elementary School to be used for lunch balances and school fees. And our fifth donation tonight are gift cards valued at $221.40 from Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers to Creekside Middle School for student testing incentives. Letter E, recommend approval of disposal of fixed assets as listed. Letter F, recommend approval of the 5-year forecast. Letter G, recommend approval of the fund-to-fund transfers as listed. Letter H, recommend approval of a community reinvestment area agreement with Professional NDE Services Group LLC and Kohler Properties LLC, contingent upon approval by Fairfield City Council on May 28th, 2024. This agreement includes a 4-year, 45% tax exemption with an estimated annual payment to the district of $2,364. Letter I is recommend that the Board of Education adopt the following resolution for declaring transportation to be impractical. May I waive the reading of that resolution?
Yes.
Thank you. And that concludes my items tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Lane. Motion to accept recommendations.
So moved.
Ms. Gundrum?
Second? You can't
Mr.
second.
Neighbor? I don't know. Yes. Ms. Lane, would you call roll?
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes. All right, committee reports. Legislative updates, Ms. Gundrum.
I do not have anything tonight. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, thank you. Butler Tech, Mr. Bagley's not here tonight, so we'll do, how about Park and Recreation? Dr. Rice?
Yes, sir, I was ready.
Are you-
Where are we going?
We haven't had a board meeting since last time we met here. However, Marsh Lake is still available to go hiking. You know, I know you're a naturalist,
Yep, got it.
a hiker. Canoes, actually kayaks.
Kayaks.
Yeah. But there's the farmer's market that's available now. So not our, you're outdoors and be in nature, and they have fresh fruits and vegetables and cakes and pies and all kinds of crafts you can go shop at too. So that's from 4 to 7 at Village Green every Wednesday. So I hope to see you there.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Planning Commission, Mr. Smith.
The Planning Commission did meet. They had no relevant topics such as cakes, pies, or kayaks to share with the board,
Natural.
so we have no report this evening.
Thank you.
Sorry
Mr.
to disappoint you, Dr. Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Announcements. Tomorrow's May 17th, the last day for the seniors, so congratulations. May 22nd is the end of the second semester and end of the school year for the other students. May 23rd, Labor Day, secondary teachers. May 25th, graduation, 9:30, Cintas Center, Xavier University. Very excited about that. It's going to be an outstanding morning. Let's see, the May 27th, City of Fairfield Memorial Day Parade at 10 a.m., starting at the Express Scripts, Winton Road, ending at Fairfield Veterans Memorial Park at 701 Wessel Drive, and I believe that's kind of at the corner of Winton Road and Route 4, right there?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct.
Also,
Express Scripts.
Express Scripts, yep. May 27th, Memorial Day, all day. Fairfield City School buildings are closed. June 6th, next board meeting is a work session at 6:30 p.m. here at the Fairfield High School Catherine D. Milligan Community Room. So those are the announcements. Any board comments? Ms. Gundrum, ladies first.
I just want to congratulate all of our Golden Apple winners again, and thank you so much for sharing your talents and your love for your careers with us, and for allowing us to be part of your lives, and for changing our community. And one child at a time, one school building at a time, it all adds up. So thank you all very much.
Mr. Napier?
Yeah, I want to congratulate all the Golden Apple winners. I got one from Mr. Rice 3 years ago when I retired. I guess I had to work till I retired to get one. But that was great seeing a lot of the teachers that I worked with, and I know how special they are. And I want to thank Nancy Lane again for all the work she puts in on these forecasts. I know it can't be easy. So that's all I got.
Thank you. I do want to say also to Mr. Jeff Black, we will have someone from administration reach out to you. The board doesn't interact with those discussions, so someone will be in touch with Mr. Black. Also, congratulations to all the Golden Apple Award winners. Teachers do a great job, and every one of them are deserving. Dr. Rice, again, congratulations. Sad to see you go, but happy for you and your family. Ross is getting an outstanding super, so you're going to be a super. Yeah. Congrats, Ms. Howard. Glad to have you move into a new position that you're going to be outstanding at. So thank you for being with us and continue to lead in our district. Appreciate that. I want to congratulate the girls varsity softball. They won tonight. Their district softball game from 2-1 beat King, so now they move on to semifinals for the regionals. So go girls softball. Excited about that. Also want to thank Ms. Lane for all of her hard work on the financial numbers, as Mr. Napier said, and Ms. Gundren too. That's a tedious job, and it's a lot of line items. And we tried to deliver nothing but the facts, and you do that very, very well. So with that being said, I do encourage the community to visit the website, take a look at the 27-page report, 25 or 27?
It's only 22.
22. So I just saved you some reading time.
That's right.
Review that 22-page report, get familiar with that, and then we'll discuss that again in June. And then graduation's the 25th. Congratulations to all seniors, outstanding year, and you're going to do great things, and we're very happy to celebrate that with you. And Mr. Duncan, always good to see you at our meetings and everywhere else I go. Thanks for being.
Might be the last one.
It might be. Yeah, so with that being said, there's no executive session tonight, so any other comments or questions? And we'll motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ms. Gunner?
Second?
Mr. Napier? We will end the meeting at 8:02. Is it
to
Apple
call the
time?
roll.
It is
We gotta
8:02.
Got to vote.
Oh,
Mrs. Gundren?
Mr. Gundren?
Yes.
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Okay, now.
8:02.